Lynda, Ben-Menashe is the National Council of Jewish Women Australia president, was at the ceremony in New York and joins me live now. Thank you for your time. You were also at the Auschwitz site only 6 months ago. It's an incredibly moving site. It's been preserved so well to remember it so it wouldn't be forgotten, even down to the train car that transported so many victims and survivors.
Yes, that's right. It's an incredibly moving place to be, and I'm very pleased that Penny Wong, our Foreign Minister, visited and has taken part in the commemoration there. I think it can only give her pause to reflect on what is happening in our country as well. You know, they say that history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes, and we are seeing in our country a build-up of hate speech and violent action resulting from that speech, which I think all politicians and certainly those in government should be thinking about very, very carefully.
There's such harrowing tales. There are so many tragedies amongst it of parents killed, of children killed, and even the survivor stories are often pure chance. One speaking today saying the only reason they survived is there was a malfunction at the gas chamber. And we won't hear from these voices for all that much longer, will we, because of how long ago it was?
Well, that's right. And as you said, I was in the room in New York, and listening to those stories was incredibly moving. And also the connection that was made between what happened during the Holocaust and the events in Israel 15 months ago, and people who had survived the Holocaust only to lose a grandchild, for example, in the south of Israel. And it really did touch everyone in the room deeply. I will say one thing, though, about our Foreign Minister attending the ceremony in Poland. I was in Israel in January 2024, at the same time as the Foreign Minister was there, and I was very disappointed and in fact quite hurt, as I'm sure many Australians were, that she wasn't able to visit the killing fields of southern Israel as she's now visiting the killing fields of Poland, because I think being there on the spot is terribly important.
And that's in terms of witnessing the site, I suppose, of what happened when we think of that particular attack. So at the time, I know the Foreign Minister said the visit was important and there's only so much time for schedules, but those scenes, that in a similar way you're saying to Auschwitz, without witnessing them or being there, you can't quite imagine the horror that unfolded.
Well, that's right. You know, at Auschwitz, you can walk into a gas chamber, you can see where people slept, you could see where people were marched to their deaths, etc. And in the south of Israel, similarly, we went through the kibbutzim down there. We saw the blood-stained walls. We saw the rooms still in complete disarray, the remains of, you know, the everyday objects people used, their pens, their shoes, etc. And I mean, I certainly could feel a resonance with, you know, the piles of shoes that we saw in Auschwitz, for example. And it's pretty grueling. But important, and if you're a leader, it is your responsibility to bear witness.
Nearly out of time, but the other thing looking back on this, for those sort of students of the Second World War, is the Holocaust had a long run up to that there wasn't simply one day Jewish people were free and respected and the next day they were being slaughtered. It was a slow build-up of dehumanization by the Third Reich in particular, but at times a blind eye turned to it by the West.
Well, I think that's right. And the trajectory from hate speech, which we are seeing again today, flooding our social media, flooding our university campuses, flooding sort of the general conversation in the public sector, the hate speech, the dehumanization, the othering, the ability to look at a people as abstract, that is what leads to the ability to commit violence against them. And in terms of the Holocaust, of course, that is the ultimate end point. You're able to murder. And I think all politicians need to pay very special attention to the conversation in the country, to make sure that conversation is stopped and make sure the dehumanisation of any group comes to an end. And what happens in terms of Jewish Australians has impact on what happens for all Australians. And we are looking for a kinder, a gentler, a more safe and secure Australia for all Australians.
Lynda, Ben-Menashe, appreciate your time.